A possibility brushed the edge of her thoughts. She hesitated, then stepped to one side of the platform to let others pass. The idea forming in her mind went against every scruple she held and against the integrity she'd sought so earnestly to pass along to her former students at Franklin College in Athens, Georgia. Scruples, integrity, honesty. Two wrongs don't make a right, Miss Cassidy. She'd lectured a female student last fall who'd been caught cheating and tried to lie her way out of it. Molly stared at the wooden shingle, knowing that was what she would be attempting to do if she acted on her impulse, trying to make two wrongs equal a right. Her body flushed hot and cold as she recalled being ushered into the college president's office early one morning only 3 short weeks ago, before first-hour classes convened. Her dismissal from Franklin College had been swift and humiliating on so many levels. What she'd done was wrong, she knew that. That was never in question. Yet the punishment seemed so severe, and she'd protested, at first. But when President Northrop conveyed his intentions, should she refuse to resign her position and leave the college, she'd acquiesced, immediately. He'd found the one weakness in her armor, and had quashed her with it. His strong suggestion that she take this particular teaching position and start over again had only been made more so by his refusal to provide a letter of recommendation for any other, including any school she'd suggested back east. And without a letter of recommendation, no reputable college or school would give her a second glance. Taking a steadying breath, she smoothed a lace-gloved hand over her blue jacquard vest. She'd worked hard to earn her doctorate, to garner the revered title of professor, same as her father, and to make a forward stride for women in academia, and had lost it all in a single act. In the end, President Northrop had won, as men in authority always did, because here she was, a world away from civilization and proper society, with everything she'd worked to achieve stripped bare. Her decision made, Molly made a beeline for the storefront. She glanced around to see if anyone was watching her, then caught herself and choked back a bitter laugh. No one knew her in this town, not a single solitary soul. A more remote location for her new teaching opportunity couldn't have been found, not unless the Alaskan wilderness had been an option. If it had, she was certain she would have been stepping from a train onto a vast frozen tundra about now. Meanwhile, back at Franklin College, Professor Jeremy Fowler had been given a strong reprimand, a renewed professorship, and was sending out wedding invitations, but without her name on them. She swallowed the bitter taint on her tongue. She should have been accustomed to the unequal standards by now, but she wasn't. Eyes downcast, she waited for a carriage to pass, then started across the street. "Beg your pardon, ma'am, but trunks are claimed on down the way there." She turned to tell the steward she was only running a quick errand, but it wasn't the steward addressing her this time. Judging from the man's rain-slicked duster and weathered wide-brimmed hat, he wasn't employed by the railroad. And she was certain she'd never seen him before. She would have remembered if she had. Handsome hardly began to describe him, which at one time might have been enough to pique her interest. Not anymore. The man's expression seemed open and honest, especially his smile. "I noticed you getting off the train just now, and, well, ma'am, this part of town isn't the friendliest. Just wanted to make sure you knew where you were going. 'Cause if you don't, sweet lass," a twinkle lit his eyes as he slipped into a flawless Scottish brogue, "you might soon be finding yourself somewhere you're not wanting to be." Laughing softly, he gave the brim of his worn cowboy hat a tug. "That advice comes free. Compliments of my grandfather, Ian Fletcher McGuigan, God rest his soul. He used to tell me that every time I stepped foot out the door." Molly could spot a flirt as fast as she could a roach on a wall. Being a professor of romance.